Chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has pressed pause on everything to speak to you in this very moment. You didn't stumble upon this message. This is not a coincidence. This is a divine interruption, a prophetic interception. The scroll of your life has just been opened, and all of heaven is watching how you respond. You are not like the rest. You were never meant to blend in. That's why you've always felt out of place, set apart, misunderstood, and marked. There is a shaking in the spiritual realm, and your name is echoing in it. You've been weight, not in the eyes of man, but in the hands of Godand. You have been found worthy of this moment. You are God's chosen one, selected for such a time as this. While others chase trends, you carry truth. While others wander in distraction, you walk in destiny. You are not common. You are called. This first week of July 2025 is no ordinary time. There's something massive coming, a divine shift that's about to break open over the earth. Heaven is aligning. Angels are on assignment, and spiritual barriers are being broken. You are standing in a divine pause, a stillness before the storm of breakthrough, and you were born for this. You are not late. You are right on time for God's calendar. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak, it was all to prepare you. That season where nothing made sense, it was divine concealment. But now, the covering is lifting, the revealing is beginning, and heaven is calling your spirit to attention. Not your flesh, not your emotions, but the deepest part of you that knows. This is it. Let me be clear, this message isn't for everyone. It's for the remnant, for the chosen, for the one who's felt overlooked in every room, but chosen in every storm. You weren't picked by people, but you were appointed by God. You weren't included in their plans, but you were marked in His prophecy. That ache in your chest, that stirring, that is the sound of destiny waking up, and it's time to rise. It was declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions. And now is your moment to walk in that authority. You may feel unqualified, but let me tell you, He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You've been wondering, why me? Why this fight? Why this burden? Because you carry something hell fears. And this week, this exact week, you are being summoned to walk through the fire and come out without the smell of smoke. You've been protected when others fell, preserved when others collapsed. The enemy tried to take you out years ago, but someone kept pulling you back. You've questioned your value, but if you only knew the war that's been fought just to keep you breathing, you'd understand that you are not here on accident. You are here by heaven's design. Chosen one. This week, yes. This very week is pregnant with prophecy, and you cannot scroll past this word without understanding what is at stake. Something massive is coming, and it's either going to elevate you or expose you. There is no neutral ground anymore. God is separating the wheat from the weeds, the holy from the habitual. This is not about being perfect. This is about being positioned. This is why you've been restless, why your spirit won't let you settle. It's because something is about to shift that will impact the rest of your year, your decade even, your destiny. You're not just entering a new month. You're stepping into divine momentum. What felt like delay was really God orchestrating divine alignment. All of creation is groaning, waiting for the sons and daughters to be revealed, and guess what? That's you. You are the revelation You are the release. So listen carefully. This isn't the week to be distracted. This isn't the time to blend in. God is calling you to stand out. You're not just surviving anymore, you're about to start ruling. This is your Genesis moment. Your Esther hour. Your David versus Goliath showdown. Heaven has chosen this time to thrust you forward. And nothing can stop what God has already set in motion. But you must say yes. With your heart. With your focus. With your obedience. And even with your voice. Comment below. 777. That's not just a number, it's a prophetic act. 7 is the number of completion. 777. Divine fullness. Comment 777 below if your spirit is in agreement. If you know deep down that this message is tugging at your soul like never before, this is a holy moment and your response matters. Like, share, and subscribe right now, because this isn't just about you. Someone you love needs this word too. Someone's breakthrough is locked inside your obedience to share. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because there are more divine downloads coming. And you don't want to miss what God is about to release next. You've been through more than anyone knows. The silent battles. The tears cried into your pillow when no one was watching. The sleepless nights where your spirit wrestled with heaviness too deep for words. But hear this, now your pain was not wasted. Every wound was preparation. Every betrayal was redirection. Every season of loneliness was divine insulation. Because what you carry could not be contaminated. You thought you were being punished, but you were being preserved. The enemy wanted to break you, but God used the breaking to build something eternal inside you. You were forged in fire. That's why you feel things others ignore. That's why you can't pretend like they do. You've been marked, chosen one. And the fire wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to awaken your power. You've always been different, not better but distinct. You saw things others overlooked. You heard things others ignored. You carried burdens that didn't even make sense for your age. Your stage. Your circle. You loved deeper. You forgave harder. And still rejection followed you. But all along, heaven was writing a record. Not one tear was wasted. Not one prayer unheard. The silence of God was never His absence, it was His strategy. Because what's coming now requires someone who's been through the crushing. It was declared in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. Not if but when. Fire was part of the journey, but it was never your end. You were never meant to die there. You were never meant to settle in the valley. That betrayal was not your burial, it was the birthplace of your becoming. You thought you were breaking down, but you were breaking open. Everything you've suffered was molding you for this exact week. Not next year, not someday. Now, this July is not just another calendar pageants, your appointed time. That's why your soul feels heavy. That's why you've been sensing something massive coming. Your spirit already knows. You've been feeling the contractions of a birth you couldn't yet explain. And now, it's here. Don't you see? You were hidden for a reason. God was doing something deep in the dark. When people forgot your name, heaven remembered your anointing. While others were being celebrated for what they do, you were being consecrated for who you are. You're not built like the rest, because you're not called like the rest. The world saw a rejected soul, but God saw a rising remnant. This week is not going to make you, it's going to reveal you. Heaven didn't forget you. God was preparing the environment. He was making room. Everything you've been stripped off: titles, friends, comforts. It was to make room for glory. God never subtracts without a plan to multiply. Your loss was never the last line in your story. It was the opening paragraph of your revelation. And now, the pen is writing again. You didn't survive for survival's sake. You survived because you are a carrier of something the earth has been groaning for. You survived because God knew this week was coming, and He needed you strong enough to hold what He's about to release. Not popular, but pure. Not perfect, but postured. Every time you were overlooked, heaven took note. You were never unseen in the eyes of God. You were being trained. And now, the signal has gone out in the spirit. Your spirit feels it. That uneasiness, that stirring that wakes you up at 2:33 a.m. without explanation. That's not anxiety. That's the weight of your mantle beginning to press against the walls of your comfort. You've outgrown your wilderness. You didn't choose this path, it chose you. And while others are still playing in comfort, your spirit has been called into covenant. You couldn't settle even if you tried. Your appetite has changed. What used to entertain you now irritates you. You've been shifting. Even when you didn't understand why. That's how it always happens before God shifts the world. He shifts His chosen ones. You've carried weight that didn't belong to you. So you could develop strength that didn't make sense to others. That strength, you're going to need it now. Because what's coming isn't just blessing, it's responsibility. Favor with weight. Anointing with accountability. Glory with pressure. But you're ready. The pain prepared you. The waiting strengthened you. The silence made you sensitive to His voice. That's why you hear Him differently now. That's why surface-level things don't satisfy you anymore. You've tasted something eternal. And now your soul is hungry for more. That's not dysfunction. That's divine design. You were made to live at a deeper level. So don't second-guess what God is awakening in you. Stop trying to shrink to fit their approval. You were never called to be palatable. You were called to be powerful. The world needs the real version of you, the one God shaped in the shadows, not the one they tried to modify in the spotlight. This week is about emergence, not becoming someone new, but remembering who you've always been. You are not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are not random. You are chosen. Chosen for this hour. Chosen for this wait. Chosen for this revelation. There is a reason you're still here. A reason the storms didn't destroy you. A reason the heartbreak didn't end you. A reason the battles didn't consume you. You are still standing because there's something inside you that refuses to die. Something divine. Something eternal. Something that hell itself could not erase. You were chosen. Chosen one. You are not weak. You are dangerous to darkness. You don't just survive seasons. You shift atmospheres. You carry the kind of light that makes demons tremble. That's why you've been targeted your whole life. That's why the attacks came early and often. It wasn't about where you were. It was about where you were going. The enemy saw glimpses of your future, and it terrified him. You are a disruptor in the spirit realm. There is a reason you were attacked when you were still innocent, when you didn't even know who you were yet. Because the enemy hoped that if he could wound you early, he could confuse your identity forever. But even in the confusion, something in you kept rising. Every time you hit the bottom, Something sacred pulled you back up. That's not random. That's the calling. That's the mantle. That's the evidence of divine purpose. You don't need a platform to be powerful. You don't need a title to be dangerous. You don't need to be seen by men to be known by God. You've already been authorized in the heavens, and in this very moment, your authority is waking up. Your presence in a room shifts the atmosphere. When you walk in, light walks in. When you speak, heaven listens. It was written in the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 6. God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms. You are already seated in places the enemy can never access. You've been shrinking long enough, hiding your light, dimming your flame to make others comfortable. But that ends now. You are not called to hide, you are called to shine. You are not built for the background, you are crafted for the front lines. There's a war in the spirit, and your voice is a weapon. Your worship is a weapon. Your obedience is a weapon. And this week, the weapon gets activated. You've spent too long questioning yourself, wondering why you're not like others, why your process has been so painful. It's because what you're carrying is sacred. You were called to break cycles, not repeat them. Called to destroy strongholds, not decorate them. You are the interruption in your bloodline, the one who rises when others fall, the one who says, "No more. It ends with me." Lord, you've cried in silence, but heaven heard it like thunder. You've walked through fire, but you didn't walk alone. You are stronger than you know, and the proof is in your persistence. You've been hit and still showed up. You've been betrayed and still believed. You've been overlooked and still obeyed. That's not weakness. That's warrior spirit. Every time you stayed faithful, even when you felt forgotten, you were building something eternal. You were storing oil. And now that oil is about to flow, you've been a lamp in hiding. But now God is removing the covering. It's your time to burn bright. This is more than motivation. This is activation. The spirit realm knows who you are, and it's time you fully agree with heaven's report about you. No more apologizing for your fire. No more minimizing your voice. No more second-guessing your worth. You are a divine weapon formed in secret for public victory. You are part of God's end-time army, and your assignment is not small. It is sacred. You are chosen. You are marked. You are mighty. Comment: I'm ready to let heaven and hell know you've taken your place. This week is not a coincidence. The first week of July 2025 has been circled in the spirit long before your calendar ever knew its name. You're not stepping into just another stretch of days. You are stepping into a divine portal, a window in time where heaven is releasing strategies, shifting atmospheres, and separating those who are merely curious from those who are truly called. Chosen one. This moment has weight. Everything is shifting. You may not see it yet in the physical, but your spirit has already caught it. That's why you've been feeling strange, detached from the usual, disconnected from the distractions. It's not depression. It's detachment from what used to hold you. The old system can't contain you anymore. The old cycle has expired. Your spirit has outgrown what your surroundings still resemble. Something is opening. This is not a normal week. This is a spiritual threshold. Those who cross it in obedience will not come back the same. Revelation will accelerate. Clarity will rush in. Mantles will fall. But it won't happen in noise, it will happen in the secret place. The ones who hear God this week won't be the loudest. They'll be the lowest. Posture matters now more than ever. It is written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 1. I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me. This is the hour to stand still and listen. You've prayed for movement, but now God is asking for stillness. You've cried for change, but heaven is requiring alignment. There is a download coming, but it won't fall into cluttered hands. This week requires space in your mind, your heart, your schedule. The next instruction will not shout, it will whisper. The whisper is where kings are made and destinies are launched. The portal is prophetic, but it is also conditional. Not everyone who sees it will walk through it, because entering requires surrender. It costs comfort. It demands humility. That's why so many will miss it. They're too familiar with the ordinary to recognize the sacred, but not you. Your eyes are being opened. You've felt it rising inside you, the tension, the stirring, the holy anticipation. It's not hype, it's heaven. This is the week where decisions matter. You're being weighed not in shame, but in purpose. You are not being judged, you are being positioned. God is drawing a line in the sand between wandering and walking. The wilderness is behind you. The Jordan is in front of you, and the portal is the bridge. This week is your crossing. Do not be surprised if things begin to fall away, if certain voices go silent, if sudden disruptions shake what seemed stable. It's not the enemy, it's God removing distractions. Every storm this week has an assignment: to clear the air for clarity. Every delay is protection. Every no is mercy in disguise. Trust the shaking. Embrace the silence. The blueprint is forming. This is a divine window, and it won't stay open forever. Spiritual portals are moments of divine convergence, where time bends under the weight of eternity. What you do this week echoes beyond it. One step of obedience can alter generations. One decision of surrender can release a legacy. You're not just choosing for yourself, you're choosing for the bloodline after you. God is speaking through dreams, impressions, divine interruptions. Be sensitive. Move slow. Pay attention. What seems small may be the key. The voice you ignore may carry the instruction you need. This is not a week for hustle. This is a week for holy awareness. Chosen one. You are standing at a threshold few will ever recognize. You've been given eyes to see what most scroll past. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Let God unfold it. The portal is open, but your spirit must say yes. If you only knew what was hanging in the balance right now, what decisions in this very hour are unlocking or delaying destinies, you would fall on your face in holy fear. This is not just another message. This is not spiritual entertainment. This is a divine alarm. And it is sounding for you. You are standing in front of something massive, and whether you step forward or shrink back will echo beyond this week. God is not playing with time anymore. Mercy is moving fast. Heaven is dispatching angels on assignment. And the first week of July 2025 is a spiritual doorway disguised as ordinary days. Many will sleep through it. Others will scroll past it. But you are different. That's why this word reached you. You have been marked for this moment. Chosen one, your obedience this week carries multiplied weight. Your response matters not just for your life, but for your lineage. What you choose to ignore or embrace this week will shape the kind of spiritual authority you walk in for years to come. Heaven is not holding back, but God will not force you. You must choose to walk through what's being offered. And yes, you felt the resistance already, the fatigue, the sudden distractions, the mental warfare. That's not random. That's the sign. The enemy always attacks most intensely when you're closest to a divine transfer. He's throwing everything he can at you to pull your focus, because he knows if you ever step fully into who you are, his grip breaks. This isn't the season to second-guess yourself. This is the season to step in. No more playing small. No more spiritual amnesia. No more apologizing for your boldness. This week, you are being summoned into your rightful authority, not because of what you've done, but because of who you carry. This is not about performance. This is about alignment. Scripture declares in the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11, "The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." And you are being awakened, not just emotionally, but prophetically. Heaven has set this week apart. Angels are watching. Demons are trembling. You are standing on sacred ground. Don't let the casualness of the world numb you to the urgency of this moment. There is nothing normal about where you are. Something eternal is pressing through the veil, and your spirit is catching the signals. This is why you've been unsettled. Why old routines don't feel right anymore. Why people who used to understand you no longer feel aligned. It's because heaven is adjusting your frequency. You can't walk in a new realm with old rhythms. Your next level requires a new level of trust, purity, and boldness. It's okay if you've felt lonely lately. That's part of the pruning. God often isolates before he elevates. He clears the stage before he releases the sound. And that's what's happening now. A holy sound is coming out of your life. A sound that carries breakthrough. A sound that shatters cycles. A sound that commands the spirit realm. And yet, the sound will remain buried if you do not obey. So pause for a moment. Let this settle in your soul. Ask yourself, what am I waiting for? What more do I need to see? Hasn't God already proven himself faithful? Hasn't he already rescued you when you didn't deserve it? If you're breathing right now, it's proof that grace is still extended. But grace doesn't linger forever. Now is your time to respond. And yes, response comes in many forms, some seen, some hidden. But whatever your response looks like, make sure it's real. Let heaven witness it. Let darkness fear it. And for those who feel led, know that your support helps messages like this continue to reach the ones who need it most. If you've been blessed, consider sowing into the ground that fed you. It's not about obligation. It's about obedience. Whether it's through sharing this message, subscribing, or even giving, your response becomes a part of the mission. We are building something bigger than content. We're building a remnant, a movement of the marked, and every time you like, share, or support this word, you extend the reach of light into dark corners of the earth, where someone is waiting to hear that they, too, are chosen. So move as you're led, not by guilt, not by hype, but by revelation. You've heard the sound. You've felt the pull. Now, it's time to walk it out. Let your spirit lock in. Let your mind be renewed. Let your heart remember, you were made for this moment. There will be distractions. There will be noise. But nothing can stop a soul that knows who sent them. And you, chosen one, have been sent. This week marks the beginning of your next. Don't look back. Don't shrink. Don't delay. Heaven has already said yes. Now it's your turn. There are moments in life where the timeline of heaven collides with the timeline of earth hand. When it does, everything changes. This week, right now, is one of those moments. A divine collision is taking place. And, if you've been paying attention, you can already feel it. Things around you feel unsettled, uncertain, even strange. That's not anxiety. That's the atmosphere shifting. That's the spirit realm making room for what's coming. Chosen one. This is the week where the veil gets thinner, where the whisper of God becomes louder than the distractions of the world. But only if you're listening. Not everyone will feel it. Not everyone will catch it. Because heaven does not scream, it signals. And only the sensitive can perceive it. You are sensitive because you've been set apart. You've walked through pain that didn't make sense. You've endured trials that seemed unfair. You've been broken in places no one can see. But every ounce of that crushing was for a reason. God was stretching your spirit to make space for this very moment. The ones who carry the greatest weight are also the ones who are entrusted with the greatest authority. That's why this week is not business as usual. This is not about emotion. This is not about hype. This is a prophetic shift. And the first week of July, 2025, is its doorway. You are not standing in a common place. You are standing on holy ground. The same voice that spoke to Moses in the wilderness is speaking now to you. Take off your shoes. He said, for the place you are standing is holy. That is what this moment is. Sacred. It is written in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 5. Do not come any closer. God said, take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Now, there are things God is revealing this week that will not be repeated. There are instructions being released now that won't be given again. This is a one-time window, and only those who are postured in humility, hunger, and holiness will receive what's being poured out. You've been asking God for direction, for confirmation, for doors to open. But God is waiting for your positioning before He releases His provision. The answer you seek is often tied to the posture you refuse. But this week, your posture has shifted. Your spirit has been stirred. You are finally ready to receive not just the blessing, but the burden that comes with being chosen. This is not the time to delay. Every minute counts. Every small step of obedience matters. You may not see the fruit today, but what you do in this divine week will echo for years. Generations after, you will walk in freedom because of the yes you give now. Chains will be broken, cycles shattered, altars torn down, all because you decided not to ignore the nudge in your spirit. Heaven doesn't waste movement. Every breath, every surrender, every alignment, it is recorded. While the world chases attention, God is watching intention. You don't need a spotlight for your obedience to be sacred. You don't need an audience to qualify as anointed. God is watching in the quiet. He's weighing the hidden yes in your spirit. And right now, heaven is responding. You are not just entering a new week, you are entering a new realm. Some of you are about to receive divine instructions. Others will experience supernatural dreams. Some will see visions. Some will encounter open doors that were locked for years. It won't make sense to the natural mind, but that's how you know it's God. He doesn't speak to your logic. He speaks to your spirit. And this week, His voice is coming clearly. So, respond not just with your actions, but with your spirit. Let your soul say, yes. Let your thoughts be renewed. Let your timeline sync with heaven's, because something has already started in the realm of glory, and your obedience is the final key. Comment 999 to mark your agreement with heaven's timing and birth what's been growing inside your spirit. This number isn't superstition, it's a symbol, a prophetic act. 9 is the number of fullness, of birthing, of things coming to completion. You have carried this long enough. You've labored in the dark, but now it's time to crown. This is your birth week, not a baby of flesh, but a vision of fire, a mantle, a mission. This is what the enemy tried to stop. This is why hell came after your mind, your peace, your faith. But he failed, because here you are alive, listening, positioned, chosen one. Something massive is coming, and this week, your womb of purpose opens. The shaking has already begun. You can feel it in the atmosphere, like something ancient has awakened, something deep beneath the surface of the world, and something even deeper within you. This is not imagination. This is not hype. This is the earth responding to the movement of heaven. And you, chosen one, are caught in the very center of the shift. There is a divine trembling underway. Structures that looked unshakable are beginning to crack. Systems built on pride and performance are being exposed. The shaking is not punishment, it is alignment. God is not trying to scare the world. He is trying to wake it up. And you, who carry divine sensitivity, are being stirred on purpose. You were not meant to sleep through this season. You were meant to interpret it. The world is calling it chaos, but in the spirit, it is correction. Everything that is being shaken is making way for what is being revealed. You have prayed for God to move, and now He is, but His movement rarely looks how we expect. He begins by removing what we relied on. He tears down what we trusted more than Him. He interrupts the patterns that dulled our faith. The shaking is not here to destroy you, it is here to strip you for glory. As we read in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 27, the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things so that what cannot be shaken may remain. And now, you are being revealed as one of those unshakable ones. You see, you've already survived your personal shaking. You know what it feels like to lose everything but keep your praise, to question everything but still remain faithful. That wasn't random. That was training. Your life became a rehearsal for this global moment. What others are now experiencing for the first time, you've already walked through privately. You are ahead of the curve in the spirit. That's why you don't panic like others do. That's why you don't cling to titles, platforms, or positions. You know they can fall away. You know only the voice of God stands when everything else crumbles. This is the wisdom of the remnant. You've learned how to live without needing what others worship. And that's what makes you dangerous. While others are holding on to false security, you are already holding the eternal, chosen one. Make no mistake, the shaking will intensify. in the earth, in governments, in the economy, in relationships. But do not be afraid. Do not misread the season. This is not destruction. This is divine clearing. When God begins to do something new, He often removes the familiar first, not to punish you, but to prepare you. He is removing what has blocked your view. The fog is lifting. The distractions are dying. Don't mourn what is leaving. Thank God that it served its purpose. Some things had to break so you would wake up. Some relationships had to shift so you could stand alone. Some doors had to close so you would stop looking for man's approval and start listening for God's instructions. The shaking is refining you. It's shaking off pride, shaking off fear, shaking off lukewarm living, shaking off passivity. What's left after the shaking will be pure, holy, focused, fire-tested, and God-approved. And that's who you are becoming. You are stepping out of the fire, not smelling like smoke but glowing with glory. You're not the same person who entered the fire. Something inside you has changed. Your discernment is sharper. Your prayers are stronger. Your identity is clearer. And now, your steps are being ordered not by emotion, but by revelation. You're not walking by what you see. You're walking by what you know in the Spirit. This is the beauty of the shaking. It forces you to choose comfort or calling, fear or faith, control or surrender. When everything starts shaking, the soul must decide what it really believes. And your faith is not fragile. It is rooted. You've been through too much to back down now. You've cried too long to question your place now. You've been refined in the fire. You've been kept through the storm. And now, you're ready. The shaking is just the beginning. What comes next will require all of you. Full obedience, full surrender, full alignment. But you will not be shaken, because you are standing on something eternal. Let the world shake. Let the systems fall. Let the voices fade. You will remain. The world has not seen you clearly, but heaven has. And now, the hidden ones are being revealed. For years, you've walked quietly faithful in the background, consistent in obscurity, obedient in silence. You weren't after applause. You weren't after platform. You just wanted to be where God was, even if no one noticed. And yet, something inside you always knew there was more. More than the role you played. More than the space you were given. More than the labels placed on you by those who never saw your full dimension. Chosen one. The hiding was holy. God never hides people to punish them. He hides them to protect the purity of their calling. Like Moses in a basket. Like David in the fields. Like Esther behind palace walls. God conceals what is precious. The world loves exposure, but heaven values preparation. While others were being seen, you were being shaped. While others were being praised, you were being purified. You weren't forgotten. You were covered. Covered so you wouldn't be contaminated by comparison. Covered so your motives wouldn't be polluted by performance. Covered so your roots could go deep before your name went wide. Every time you felt overlooked, misunderstood, unseen, God was writing your name into places man could never erase. And now, the time of hiding is coming to a close. Something in the Spirit has shifted. There's a door opening for those who have been faithful in the quiet. A revealing is coming, not for entertainment, not for ego, but for impact. This isn't about going viral. This is about going visible, visible in purpose, visible in clarity, visible in authority. You're not being promoted to be praised, you're being positioned to release what you've carried in secret. It is written in the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 12, verse 2. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. Oh, this is the hour when the unknown will become undeniable. Don't misunderstand, this isn't about stepping into fame. It's about stepping into function. You've been operating on limited visibility for years. But now, the light is shifting. God is shining a spotlight on what's real. Not polished performance, not pretense, but presence, power, anointing. You are the answer to prayers, prayed long before you were born. You are the fruit of generations that cried out for deliverance. And now, in this appointed time, God is calling your name into places where your face hasn't even been seen yet, into rooms where your qualifications don't meet man's standards, but your spirit carries heaven's endorsement. Don't let fear paralyze you. Don't let false humility hold you back. This is not about self, it's about assignment. If God has chosen to reveal you now, it's because He trusts that what's in you is ready to be released. The stage may be new to you, but the message has been burning in you for years. There is no need to force the door open. Just walk through it when it appears. You won't have to strive. You won't have to beg. You won't have to manipulate. The anointing will make room. The preparation has paid off. And the right people, those whose spirits are tuned to the frequency of heaven, will recognize you without introduction. Because real always recognizes real. And what's in you is real. The tears, the fasting, the surrender, the battles, all of it has carved a well in you. And now that well is about to overflow. Not everyone will understand it. Some will question it. Some will try to minimize what they didn't see forming. Let them. Their doubt is not your assignment. Your only assignment is obedience. You are stepping into a season where your visibility will match your authority. But remember this, authority is not for status, it's for service. The greater the visibility, the deeper the humility required. Stay rooted. Stay hidden in the presence of God. Even when you're seen by people, let your oil speak louder than your image. Let your fruit speak louder than your words. You didn't ask for the spotlight, but you were chosen for this hour. God is raising up a new kind of voice, not perfect, not polished, but pure. Voices who tremble before Him more than they crave attention. Voices who bleed authenticity and walk in truth. Voices who have been trained in the furnace, not the classroom. That's you. You are the hidden now being revealed, the overlooked now being appointed, the underestimated now being sent. No more hiding, no more shrinking, no more false identity. Heaven says, it's time. The time for silence has passed. The time for waiting in hesitation is over. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when heaven doesn't just whisper, it roars. And this, right now, is that moment. You are not being invited. You are being summoned. Everything you've been through has led to this point. Every valley, every dark night, every betrayal. They weren't the end, they were the beginning. Each one broke something off of you that you didn't need for where you're going. You lost what was comfortable so you could gain what was consecrated. And now the shift is demanding your response. Chosen one, You are standing between two realities, the one you came from and the one you've been called to. The past wants to hold you in comfort, but the calling demands your courage. This is the place where many turn back. This is where the crowd separates from the committed. You don't belong to the crowd. You belong to the called. The enemy is counting on your silence, counting on your hesitation, counting on your delay. But what he didn't calculate was your surrender. And surrender is more powerful than strength. Your yes in this moment carries more weight than 1,000 well-formed plans. Because heaven doesn't move on, charismate moves on obedience. The word of the Lord declares in the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. There's no neutral ground anymore. Heaven is demanding a decision. You know what God has been speaking. You felt the tug, the confirmation, the piercing clarity that cannot be explained away. But now it's no longer about what you feel, it's about what you do. The time of sensing is over. This is the time for stepping. Will you go when it makes no sense? Will you move before the map is drawn? Will you trust the voice even when the visibility is low? Because true obedience always precedes clarity. The sea does not part before you step. It parts when you step. You've outgrown the season you're in. That restlessness isn't confusion, it's confirmation. Your spirit is pushing against the limitations that once felt like home. The cage is shaking. Not because you're weak, but because you've become too strong for it to hold you anymore. You weren't made to pace in circles. You were made to possess new territory. But first, you must make it known in the spirit. You choose to rise. This is where the decision is madeno, in comfort. But in conflict, everything in your flesh may want to play it safe. But your spirit is already running ahead. You've been asking God to speak, but He's already spoken. Now He's watching to see if you'll move. There's nothing else coming. The clarity you crave is on the other side of obedience. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. The people you're called to are waiting for your voice. The darkness you're meant to displace is waiting for your step. And the enemy is hoping you stay stuck, because if you move, he loses territory. This is the moment when your words must align with your identity. You've been quiet long enough. Let the spirit realm know where you stand. Let heaven record your decision, and let hell feel the tremble of your agreement. Comment, I choose my crown because kings don't wait for approval, they rise when called. And make no mistake, you've been called. You didn't survive just to return to routine. You didn't overcome just to settle into safety. You were sent into this generation with fire in your bones and divine weight on your name. And this week, the heavens are opening not just to speak to you, but to speak through you. It's your voice that breaks curses. It's your obedience that unlocks generations. It's your yes that will shift the atmosphere. You have nothing left to prove. You are already chosen. But chosen ones must decide to wear the crown that's already been prepared for them, not out of pride but out of purpose. Because a crown is not about power, it's about responsibility. And now, it's time to carry what was always yours. There is a weight that comes with knowing who you are, a cost that comes with being chosen. And now that your eyes are open, you cannot unsee it. The veil has been lifted. You've heard the voice. You've felt the fire. And once you've encountered divine clarity, everything ordinary starts to feel hollow. Chosen one. You are no longer who you used to be. That version of you, the one that tolerated cycles, chased approval, lived in hesitation, has been buried in the wilderness. What's rising now is a new creature, not just inspired, but commissioned, not just stirred, but sent. You are no longer in hiding. You are in motion. And as you step forward, be aware. This next phase of your life will not look like the last. The same rhythm won't work. The same circle may not fit. The same strategy won't sustain you. That's not rejection, it's realignment. God is restructuring your atmosphere to match your new assignment. You asked for elevation, but elevation always comes with exposure. More visibility means more accountability. More authority means more surrender. But the beauty is, you're ready for it now. You've been trained in silence, anointed in private, refined in fire. And now you're stepping into the realm of function. Not hype, not titles. Function. Your gift will no longer be a theory. It will become a tool. Your prayers will shift atmospheres. Your words will cut through deception. Your worship will shake foundations. What used to feel like pressure will now feel like purpose. This week is doing something irreversible in you. As we read in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That rising has nothing to do with platform, it has everything to do with presence. You're not rising to impress people. You're rising because heaven has poured oil on your name. It's not popularity, you're after its power. Holy power, heaven-backed authority, a voice that shifts generations. Not just trends, but understand this. Walking in this level of calling means walking with intentionality. You cannot afford to go back to spiritual laziness. You can't scroll mindlessly, live casually, and expect to steward glory. This next level requires sacrifice, more discipline, more prayer, more time in His presence, more discernment over what you consume, who you allow into your space, and how you use your time. This is what consecration looks like. And no, it's not always easy, but it's worth it. Because once you've tasted divine assignment, there's no turning back to spiritual junk food. Your appetite has changed. Your pace has shifted. You're walking with heaven's agenda now. Your days are measured by obedience, not by comfort. Everything about your life is becoming intentional. And that's why it's important to surround yourself with voices that speak to your future, not your past. To stay connected to the flow of what God is doing, not just momentarily, but consistently. When God starts speaking to you this clearly, you don't silence it, you sustain it. That's why these messages matter. Not because of who delivers them, but because of who is speaking through them. If this word has confirmed something in you, nourished something in your spirit, it don't. Keep it to yourself. Let it multiply. Sometimes the most spiritual act is a simple one. Sharing light with someone still sitting in darkness. Because you never know which soul is hanging by a thread, waiting for a single word to awaken them. And for those who feel led to support the continuation of this message, thank you. Every seed you plant helps us expand the reach, not just digitally, but spiritually. We're not building a brand, we're building a battalion, a generation of awakened, activated, and anointed ones who refuse to live below their calling, whether it's by subscribing, sharing, or sowing. Your response helps keep this mission alive. But beyond that, stay connected. Don't just hear the word and forget it. Let it take root. Re-watch it. Pray over it. Write down what the Spirit highlights to you. These aren't just words, they're weapons. Use them, because you'll need them in the days ahead. Yes, the battle will intensify. Yes, the distractions will multiply. But now you know what's at stake. You've seen too much to go back. You've heard too clearly to pretend you didn't. Your spirit has caught fire, and no amount of darkness can put it out now. You've crossed the threshold. This is your new normal. Prophetic clarity, divine urgency, purpose-driven action. And as you rise, others will follow. Because your obedience is not just for you, it's a doorway for others. Every time you show up in faith, you make it easier for someone else to do the same. You are a trailblazer in the Spirit. And this week, you are blazing forward. Let the fire spread. It is happening even now quietly, invisibly, without announcement. Your anointing is being upgraded, not with fanfare, not with noise, but with divine weight. Heaven doesn't shout when it promotes. It simply imparts. And right now, something is settling on your spirit that wasn't there before. A greater measure, a mantle, a sharper edge. This is what you were prepared for. The crushing, the pressing, the silence, it all led to this. You have passed through the furnace, and what remains is not just a survivor, but a vessel of power, not emotional hype, not surface-level boldness. True power, authority that makes atmospheres shift, discernment that breaks through confusion, oil that cannot be imitated. There's something different about you now. And even if others can't see it yet, the spirit realm does. Demons recognize it. Angels respond to it. Environments adjust around it. Because spiritual authority cannot be hidden. And you didn't ask for this. It was assigned to you. Not because you were qualified, but because you were willing. This kind of anointing does not fall on the casual. It is forged in surrender. You are now carrying the kind of presence that alters timelines, the kind of clarity that silences compromise. This is not the grace that makes life comfortable. This is the grace that makes you dangerous to darkness, the grace that makes you unshakable, even when everything else trembles. You didn't just come out of the fire, you came out glowing. It is written in the book of the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 4, verse 13. They saw the courage of Peter and John and realized they were unschooled, ordinary men. And they took note that these men had been with Jesus. That's what people will begin to notice. Not your resume, not your status, but the residue of where you've been. You've been with God. You've sat in silence and waited when others rushed. You've chosen prayer when others chose performance. You've walked away from opportunities that didn't carry God's breath. And now, you carry something the world can't explain. Don't be surprised when rooms respond to your presence differently. Don't be caught off guard when old spaces feel too small. You're not imagining it. You've simply outgrown what was built for the older version of you. This upgrade comes with a shift in atmosphere, in relationships, in language, in mission. You'll begin to notice that conversations that once fascinated you now feel hollow. Circles that once fed you now feel limiting. That's not arrogance, it's ascension. You've leveled up in the spirit. And everything around you must either rise or be released. This upgrade will cost you comfort, but it will clothe you in clarity. God doesn't increase oil without increasing expectation. The mantle on your life comes with responsibility, with weight, with vision. The more he trusts you with, the more he asks of you, not to burden you, but to protect what's being built through you. You are no longer just a carrier, you're a conduit. You are now someone God moves through. This means your prayers carry more impact than you realize. Your words now shift things. Your discernment isn't just for yourself, it's for others. The strategies he gives you in the night are not just for survival. They are blueprints for others to follow. You have become a pathfinder, and pathfinders must stay clean. Don't let pride touch this anointing. Don't let distraction pollute this clarity. Don't dilute the message to please the crowd. You weren't given this upgrade to entertain. You were given it to establish, to uproot falsehoods, to confront darkness, to build altars where others built stages. There is more required of you now. More solitude, more consecration, more intentionality. Your time is not your own. Your decisions have weight. Your presence carries fire. You must walk differently now, not with fear but with reverence. You've become a representative of another realm. This is what it means to be chosen, not celebrated by all, but recognized by heaven, resisted by hell, revered by the ones who see in the Spirit. The cost is great, but so is the assignment, and you have been found faithful. You've been entrusted with more because you have proven faithful with less. This is your moment, not a platform moment, a posture moment. And your posture is saying yes, without fanfare, without approval, without applause. Heaven has upgraded your mantle. Now, walk like it. There are times when the Spirit doesn't whisper, it presses. A holy weight rests on your chest. And even if your mind doesn't fully understand it, your spirit begins to burn. That's what this moment is. A divine pressing, not to crush you, but to push something through you. What you've been carrying in silence is now being prepared for birth. Chosen one. This is not a week of normal time. This is a prophetic hour. And whether you feel ready or not, heaven has made its move. The scroll of this moment has been opened. The angels assigned to your name are in motion. And what God has hidden inside of you for so long is now about to be revealed. What does that feel like? Tension, pressure, spiritual restlessness. You're not broken. You're birthing. The fullness of time has arrived, and the contractions in your life relational shifts. Mental warfare, emotional stirring air, the evidence. You've reached 9. 9 is the number of fullness, completion, birthing. The 9th hour was when Jesus released his final breath and declared, "It is finished." The 9th month is when what's been developing in secret finally enters the visible world. 9 is when labor turns into life. And now, it's your time. The Word of God encourages us in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. No, this is that proper time. You've endured. You've pressed in. You didn't quit in the middle. And now the harvest isn't just coming, it's crowning. For too long, you felt something stirring in you that you couldn't explain. A weight, a word, a vision that wouldn't let you go. It followed you in your dreams. It whispered in quiet moments. It showed up in divine interruptions and signs you tried to ignore. And now, that seed has matured. The hidden thing has developed. What God planted is ready to break through the surface. But here's the truth. Birth always comes with battle. Don't be surprised that the warfare increased this week. Don't be alarmed by the fatigue, the strange resistance, the emotional swings. This is spiritual labor. The enemy sees the crowning, even if you don't. And if he can't destroy the seed, he'll try to stop the delivery. He knows you're about to bring something into the world that will shake his territory, and he is terrified. But what God has ordained cannot be stopped by darkness. Labor means you're close. It means the promise has not died. It means your prayers have taken root. It means your secret obedience has become supernatural manifestation. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are on time, divine time. Heaven is with you in the pushing. This is where many give up right at the edge of delivery. When it gets the hardest, when the pain peaks, when things feel overwhelming and your vision blurs. But this is not the time to retreat. This is not the time to question. This is the time to push. Through the fear, through the pressure, through the fatigue. Because on the other side of this contraction is breakthrough. Everything you've lost along the way, it was never the baby. It was the afterbirth, necessary for development, but never meant to remain. God is stripping what cannot stay attached to the next season. You're not being punished, you're being purified. What leaves now was never meant to go with you into delivery. And when you come out of this, you will hold what you've only seen in dreams. Your calling, your voice, your authority, your influence, your anointing fully alive and visible. The earth has groaned for the sons and daughters to be revealed. And you are the answer. You are what the silence has been preparing. You are what the wilderness has been protecting. You are what the enemy hoped would die in delay. But here you are alive, awake, positioned, and pushing. Comment 555 to declare that divine change is here and you're ready to walk through the door. This is your moment of agreement, not a magic number, but a prophetic declaration. That you recognize the season, that you sense the transition, that you're aligning with the shift. Because 5 is the number of grace, and triple grace means heaven is not only opening a door, it's pulling you through it. Don't let the discomfort lie to you. This pain is not permanent, it's transitional. You are moving from carrying to releasing, from hiding to revealing, from waiting to walking in it. And you won't come through empty. You won't leave this season hollow. You will carry the evidence of what God spoke, and the world will see it. Not to glorify you, but to glorify Him. Because this is not about your name being known. It's about His will being made visible through you. You are the vessel, the yielded one, the remnant who said yes when it was hard. And now comes the release. Push. You're closer than you've ever been. There is a line that is being drawn, not by human hands, but by divine justice. A spiritual separation is unfolding not between good and bad, but between those who are willing and those who are waiting, between the ones who say, "Yes, Lord," with their life, and the ones who only say it with their lips. This is the moment where hearts are revealed not by speech, but by surrender. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Mercy does not linger forever. We serve a God who is endlessly patient, but also perfectly just. And when He opens a window of grace, it is not meant to be observed. It is meant to be entered. There are certain doors that only open once, certain alignments that only come in a specific season. When the wind of God begins to blow, it's not a time to think. It's a time to move. This week is such a time. You've felt the urgency in your spirit. You've sensed that the stakes are higher. That time feels compressed. That moments feel heavier. That's not emotion, it's eternity, pressing in on the now. And when eternity leans in, everything shallow begins to break. God is not allowing you to coast anymore. He is confronting every area that still lives in compromise, because He loves you too much to let you drift. It is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verses 26 through 27. If we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left, but only a fearful expectation of judgment. This isn't to scare you, it's to awaken you. Because grace is a gift, but when grace is ignored, judgment steps in. You are not standing in casual time. You are standing on the edge of something eternal. And what you choose now will shape what is given to you next. This isn't about perfection. It's about position. Are you positioned to receive what heaven is releasing? Are your hands clean? Is your heart humble? Are your motives pure? Or have you allowed the comfort of delay to convince you that you'll always have more time? There is a moment when God stops calling and starts confirming. And when that moment comes, the door is shut not out of cruelty, but because the oil was never meant to wait forever. This week is that line for some. God is still speaking. But for how long will you listen without responding? How long will you recognize His hand but ignore His instruction? How many confirmations do you need before obedience becomes your default? You already know what He's asking. You've felt the tug. You've heard the instruction in the quiet. But the fear of losing what is familiar has delayed your movement. And now, the cost of disobedience is rising. God is separating not just wheat from weeds, but assignment from attachment. There are things you've called blessing that are actually blockages. People you've kept close who are draining your clarity. Patterns you've normalized that are corrupting your discernment. This is the week to let go, not gradually, but immediately. Radical obedience is the only safe path forward. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you convenience. It will cost you opinions. It will cost you old mindsets. But what you gain in exchange is everything. Clarity, authority, protection, power. When you move in sync with God's timing, you walk under a covering that hell cannot touch. But when you delay, you step outside of that covering, and that's where vulnerability increases. You were never meant to walk unguarded. God's timing is not just about events, it's about protection. When He says move, it's not just to position you for blessing, it's to shield you from judgment. The enemy is looking for legal access, and disobedience opens the door. That's why this moment is serious. That's why the Spirit is speaking so directly, because what comes next will not wait. There is a glory coming that only the ready will carry. There is a judgment coming that only the aligned will survive. You must choose now, not out of fear, but out of faith. Trust that God knows what's ahead. Trust that His timing is perfect. Trust that obedience is not loss, it's launch. This isn't the time to blend in. This isn't the time to stay silent. This is the moment where God is marking His own. And those who are His are not just known by their declarations, but by their decisions. He is drawing near to those who have drawn near to Him. He is confirming those who have been consistent. He is elevating those who have been emptied. And He is bypassing every person who chose convenience over calling. You are not one of them. You are part of the remnant who responds, who moves, who surrenders, and heaven is taking note. The line has been drawn. Step fully into the light. There are whispers about you in places you've never stepped into. Names are being spoken. Doors are being unlocked. And your name is among them. You may not see it, but something is already in motion. What was once hidden is now being announced in the unseen. God is orchestrating meetings you didn't request, aligning opportunities you didn't plan, and preparing people who are being drawn to your purpose without even knowing your face. This is not networking, it's divine placement. Chosen one. Your name is being spoken in high places, not because of clout, not because of fame, but because of favor, the kind that flows from heaven's throne, not human strategy. There are people being stirred right now, leaders, mentors, decision makers, gatekeepers who are sensing a shift, an urgency, a pull, and they don't know it yet. But what they're being prepared for is you. This is how God works. He doesn't just promote people, He announces them in the spirit before they arrive in the natural. And that's what's happening. Long before you enter a room, your name is sent ahead like a signal. Long before you sit at a table, your assignment is already unfolding. What you think you're waiting on is actually already in motion. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where God wants you to be. As we read in the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 16, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. End of 20. But it's not just your gift that's opening the door, sits your posture. God has seen your quiet, yes, your unseen obedience, your hidden sacrifices. When no one was watching, you still chose integrity. When the platform wasn't there, you still stewarded the vision, and heaven remembered. Your faithfulness has reached its tipping point, and now it's being translated into visibility, not for your glory, but for His purpose. This is not about promotion. It's about positioning. You're not being elevated for applause. You're being placed for impact. Because there are assignments that can only be fulfilled from certain places, voices that can only be reached from certain levels. Influence is not the goal. Influence is the tool. And now that you're ready, the tool is being handed to you. What you're stepping into now isn't random. It's not luck. It's legacy. And legacy begins with preparation behind the scenes. That's what the wilderness was about. That's why it felt like delay. God wasn't just developing your gift, He was developing your capacity. Because the higher the table, the heavier the responsibility. And now, because your character can carry the weight, the invitation is coming. There are conversations happening right now that will open doors in the coming weeks. Alignments forming that will make sense later. Contracts, ideas, collaboration soul being shaped in silence. And when they surface, they will come quickly. There will be little time to overthink. You will have to move with discernment, not delay. But don't worry. You'll know which ones are from Him. They will carry peace. They will align with purpose. They will require faith, not compromise. They will stretch you, but not distort you. And you will feel heaven breathing on them, because these doors are not a reward. They are an assignment. You won't be walking into rooms to be celebrated. You'll be walking in to shift them. Some tables are waiting for your authority. Some environments are in desperate need of your voice. Some systems have been locked until someone with your obedience shows up. That someone is you. You won't need to push your way in. You won't need to announce yourself. Your oil will speak louder than your resume. Your presence will carry something man can't replicate. And those who are sensitive will know they will feel the weight of glory when you speak. This is why God kept you hidden, so that when He revealed you, it wouldn't be your charm that made the room listen, it would be His presence. What you carry now is sacred. Don't dilute it to fit in. Don't shrink it to make others comfortable. This is not the season to explain yourself to everyone. Walk in, speak what He says, move how He leads, and then walk out. You are not a guest. You are a vessel. And where God is placing you now, you will not have to force anything. The way will open. The atmosphere will shift. The favor will follow. Your name has gone ahead of you. Now walk in what's already been spoken. There's a weight resting on this very moment. Not the weight of heaviness, but the weight of heaven. A holy confirmation that what you've been sensing in your spirit is not only real, it's happening. You're not preparing anymore. You're walking in it. What you once prayed for has now become your path. Chosen one. You've crossed into divine territory. And with that territory comes a shift. In your posture, in your focus, in your voice. You are no longer speaking from the edge, you're speaking from within the assignment. And because of that, everything must now align. Your words, your thoughts, your actions, not to impress people, but to host presence. You are no longer waiting on a move of God. You are the move. You carry a word that must be heard, a fire that must be seen, an authority that must be released. This is not about doing more, it's about becoming what you were always meant to be. You're not called to chase influence. You're called to embody impact. And impact begins with showing up fully, consistently, and fearlessly as who God designed you to be. This is the season of full obedience. No more half steps. No more negotiating with the call. No more editing yourself to fit the room. You weren't sent to fit, you were sent to shift. And that shift will cost you comfort. It will require sacrifice. But it will leave behind legacy. Something eternal. Something unshakable. The Apostle Paul exhorts in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 2. Preach the word. Be prepared in season and out of season. Correct. Rebuke. And encourage with great patience and careful instruction. This is not the time to retreat or go silent. This is the hour to speak not from emotion, but from revelation. You're not speaking to impress. You're speaking to build, to break, to birth. And your voice carries more than language. It carries weight, glory, conviction. That's why it's important to protect what's being built. You've been entrusted with something divine, and God is watching how you carry it. Not everyone will understand your obedience. Not everyone will see what you see. But clarity was never meant to be crowdsourced. The vision is yours. The cost is yours. The crown is yours. And you don't need the world's permission to walk in what heaven has confirmed. But you do need consistency. You can't touch and go. You can't respond only when it's convenient. If this message is stirring something inside you, don't let it fade. Keep it alive. Revisit it. Share it. Speak it. And most importantly, live it. Because the ones who finish well aren't the ones who felt the most. They're the ones who followed through. Let this be your follow-through moment. The words you've heard over the last days have not been casual. They've been layered with divine intention. Every phrase, every confirmation, every stirring heaven has been targeting your soul, not just to bless you, but to build you, to prepare you for the weight of what comes next. So, what do you do now? You stay aligned. You stay engaged. You stay connected to the frequency that awakened you. And yes, that means surrounding yourself with voices that speak life, with messages that sharpen your spirit, with communities that remind you who you are. If this space has done that for you, if these words have clarified your direction or confirmed your calling, don't keep it to yourself. There are others, just like you, on the edge of breakthrough. Others whose destiny may be unlocked by your simple act of sharing. This is how the movement spreads, not by force, but by faithfulness. Your simple act of obedience, liking, sharing, subscribing, might be what leads someone else to their turning point. It might be the seed that sets off someone else's divine interruption. And for those who are led to go further, to sow into what you've received, know this: every gift, no matter the size, fuels the mission. It extends the reach. It builds the space where voices like yours are activated and sent. We are not building popularity. We are stewarding purpose. And purpose requires provision. If it's in your heart to support, do it as a response to what you've received, as an echo of your alignment, not under pressure, but under revelation. More than anything, keep showing up, keep listening, keep allowing the Holy Spirit to shape you through what's being spoken, because we are not done. There's still more to be poured, more to be revealed, more to be ignited. You've only just stepped into the beginning. You're walking heavier now, spiritually dense with fire and focus. The distractions don't hit the same. The temptations don't pull the same. Because clarity has shifted your appetite. You don't want performance anymore. You want presence. You don't want noise. You want fire. And fire is what you carry now. So let it burn. Let it spread. Let your life be the spark that lights up dry places. You were never meant to be silent. You were never meant to be small. You were always meant to blaze. Comment, "Let it burn," as a prophetic act that the fire you've received won't go out. This is your confirmation. This is your release. Now walk in it. The clock is not slowing down. The calendar is not waiting. The moments ahead are already written, but how you walk into them will determine what is unlocked when you arrive. Chosen one, you are no longer preparing for someday. You are now standing in the intersection between God's timing and your obedience. This is divine collision. There is something sacred about when readiness and timing finally meet. You've been tested in the shadows. You've been broken in the silence. You've obeyed in the absence of applause. And now, the two forces, your yielded heart and God's appointed hour, are colliding. This is when things accelerate. Doors that were locked for years will swing open without warning. People who never noticed you will be drawn to the light you carry. Resources you didn't even ask for will begin to align themselves with your path. Not because you pursued them, but because heaven released them. This is the reward of alignment. And it only comes to those who chose obedience over outcome. For too long, you questioned if the quiet seasons meant you were forgotten. But what you called delay, God called design. He was not just shaping your gift, He was building your spirit. The wilderness didn't waste you, it witnessed your becoming. And now, what's inside you is ready to walk in full authority. It is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. There is a time for everything. and a season for every activity under the heavens. Now, this is your time, not to hesitate, not to analyze, but to walk in sync with divine movement. What once felt far is now near. What once seemed impossible is now accessible. But accessibility is not permission to be passive. It is an invitation to move with boldness. Heaven's clock has struck. You are not the same person who prayed those desperate prayers 2 years ago. You are not the same person who cried on the bathroom floor asking for a way out. Something inside you has been changed, not because your situation shifted, but because you did. The way you hear God, the way you trust Him, the way you surrender without needing full clarity, and that's what makes you ready. Timing means nothing if the vessel isn't prepared. God doesn't just look at the calendar, He looks at the condition of the heart. And your heart, despite the battle, remains soft. It remains teachable. It remains surrendered. That is why the oil is increasing. That is why the grace is multiplying. But be warned, now that timing and readiness have met, resistance will try to return. The enemy always attempts a final push when he knows you've crossed into alignment. Old temptations may rise. Old voices may reappear. Old fears may whisper again. Not because you're going backwards, but because you're going forward. Don't misinterpret resistance as regression. It is confirmation. Hell does not resist what poses no threat. This is when you dig your heels deeper into truth. When you remain rooted in the word you've already received. You don't need a new word. You need to walk in the one you already carry. God doesn't waste breath. What He spoke over you in the valley is still valid in the promotion. This is your carry it out season. You've received the mantle. You've been entrusted with the blueprint. You've been handed the spiritual keys. Now it's time to walk. You don't need full visibility. You don't need applause. You don't need confirmation from those who didn't hear what you heard. You simply need to move. The grace has gone ahead of you. The strategy will come as you step. Don't expect every detail at the beginning. God reveals as you walk. This is how He builds trust. This is how He raises generals. And that's what you are now. A general in the spirit. Your voice is no longer just about survival, it is about strategy. What you speak now shifts outcomes. What you pray now establishes protection. You're not just praying for your life anymore. You're praying for cities, for regions, for generations. You've become the gatekeeper, and gatekeepers don't sleep. They don't blend in. They don't bow to culture. They stand. They watch. They listen. They release what they hear from heaven. And they don't flinch when the wind blows, because they know who holds the gate. That's who you are now. A voice in season. A force in motion. A vessel in alignment. The collision has begun. This is it. The final threshold. You are standing before a moment that will not come again in the same way. There is no turning back now. Everything behind you was the wilderness. Everything ahead of you is the war. But in between the space you are standing in right now was the decision, a sacred silence, a pause before the crossing, a final breath before the battle. Chosen one, this is your Red Sea moment. What you choose now will determine what opens in front of you. Not because God is reluctant to bless you, but because certain miracles require movement. The water won't part until your foot steps forward. The heavens won't release until your will agrees with His. The land of promise is not given to those who merely dream. It is inherited by those who move. You have been led here by divine hand. Every detour, Every delay, every strange turn, all of it was on purpose. And now, the patterns of your past can no longer sustain the glory of your future. What worked before will not carry you now. What you relied on back then must be surrendered here, because on this side of the water, you were surviving. But on that side, you begin to rule. God is not giving you more information. He's giving you a moment, a window of divine intersection, where His voice has become unmistakable, where His call has become unavoidable. You cannot plead ignorance anymore. You know what you're called to. You know what's stirring. You know what must die and what must rise. As we read in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life. This is where the line is drawn not in the heavens, but in your spirit. A final separation, a holy choice, a spiritual defining of who you are and what you're becoming. You cannot straddle the middle anymore. God is requiring your full weight. Step in or step away. There's no neutral ground here. You've heard too much, felt too much, been preserved through too much to pretend this is just another moment. It isn't. This is sacred ground. Not because it looks holy, but because heaven is watching what you do with it. You are not being threatened. You are being invited. This is the love of God, that even after all your running, all your delays, all your distractions, He still calls your name with tenderness. But His mercy is not passive. It requires response. And what is being offered today may not remain tomorrow. That's not fear. That's reality. Certain thresholds only open once. Certain seasons only carry one window. And this is yours. The door will not beg you. The cloud will not wait. The fire will not linger. The glory is moving, and you must move with it. Don't look for confirmation in the crowd. They didn't come through what you did. They didn't see what you saw. They didn't cry the tears you buried in the dark. Their silence does not negate your fire. Their confusion does not cancel your clarity. You do not need their agreement to walk in your appointment. This decision is yours alone. And if you say yes fully, deeply, without conditions, everything changes. The pace, the weight, the doors, the battles, the glory. Your yes will cost you, but it will cost you far less than your silence ever did. Because silence doesn't protect you. It delays you. It keeps you circling when you were called to cross. You don't need to feel qualified. You only need to feel convicted. Conviction is the voice of the Spirit pushing you out of the familiar. And if you still feel that stirring in your chest, that pressure in your soul, it's not too late. The invitation still stands. But the time for deciding is now. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. Now. Because one more rebellion can blind you. One more delay can cost you the clarity you've been fighting for. Grace is not weak. It is powerful. But it is also precise. And when grace moves, you must move with it. The water is rising behind you. The enemies of your soul are catching up. You don't have time to debate anymore. Either you cross or you surrender to the cycle. Either you rise or you return. There is no third path. Chosen one. The light is still on. The gate is still open, but only for a little longer. Chosen one. If you've made it this far, it's not by chance. This was a divine appointment. A message heaven sent to find you at the exact moment your spirit was ready to receive it. What you've just walked through was not just a script, it was a spiritual commissioning. You've been awakened, warned, and sent. This isn't the end of the message, it's the beginning of your movement. Don't let the fire go out. Keep it burning. Let it shape how you pray, how you walk, how you decide. And if this word pierced you, if it echoed what's been stirring in your belly for weeks, then share it. Let it multiply. Someone else's one word away from their awakening. You might be the one to deliver it. Like if this word confirmed what God has been whispering, comment with your agreement. Let heaven and earth see your response. Share it boldly. Don't keep the light to yourself. Subscribe if you haven't. Yet this is only the beginning of what's being released. And if you feel led to sow, to support this ongoing mission, sow as worship, not as obligation. Every seed fuels the next word that will rescue, rebuild, and reignite someone else's fire. The war is real. The urgency is rising. But so is the remnant. And you, chosen one, are no longer on the sidelines. You are marked, positioned, ready. Heaven is still speaking. Stay close to the fire.